What's up, guys? Welcome to another mailbox. Like I said, I have a few things that came in the mail. It's been a very long couple of months. Still gonna be a long couple of months. Still have things coming in the mail. So next month is May, and it's supposed to be, I think at the end of May they said, the release for the Kickstarter Soul Reaver graphic novel. So hopefully I get that in June or July. Oh, should be in June. Still waiting on the Thundercats omnibus. Hopefully that's at the end of this year. Hopefully. It should be. Maybe October or November. Possibly. I am pre-ordering, or I did have pre-ordered the Kickstarter for the Transformers compendiums. If you've seen the G.I. Joe compendiums, it's basically the same thing, except Transformers. The Transformers one, however, there is a couple of different sets for them. The American Marvel Comics, apparently there was only 80 issues. So they will be coming in 2 compendiums. There is also the UK expansion of the Marvel Comics. So these are the comics that were made in the UK specifically. We as Americans have never seen it unless you were lucky enough to order it. It's not the entire series from what I've seen, because the American comics did go to UK. I think certain parts of the comics were a little different. So you'll get only the specific UK comics that came out only in the UK in 2 compendiums. Each one of those is 150. So you can get just the US comics or just the UK comics for 150 for the 2 compendiums. There will be extra things from what I've seen. UK will have a few specific storylines, other comics that was specific storylines for Transformers that was only in the UK as well. The Americans will have the 3-issue movie Transformers the Movie comic, as well as the 4-issue Transformers the Headmaster Saga, which actually was part of the original Marvel Comics. It was 3 or 4 issues, but it was the Transformers headed to Nebulous, and each of the Transformers, of course, that's where we got the Target Masters, the Headmasters, and then after that they came to Earth following the Decepticon Headmasters, Target Masters. Their leader, Galen, was killed in a volcano eruption. So if you've never read the comics, besides the storyline, the comic storyline goes seriously insane. It is a great storyline. It's just out there more than the cartoons was. But the biggest difference is we had Sparkplug. In the cartoon, we had Spike. In the comic book, we had Sam, which was basically where we got Sam Witwicky from the live-action Transformer movies, the Michael Bay versions. Shia LaBeouf played him. Unfortunately, we never got Sparkplug, which was weird. But I'll be honest, it would not surprise me one bit if somehow Mark Wahlberg's character is Sparkplug. But in the comics, we got Sam. Optimus died pretty early in the comics. Gave his spark to Sam, who gained telekinetic powers. Like I said, the storyline is insane. However, we finally got Spike when the Headmasters came in. Sam disappeared for a bit because of the spark that he got from Optimus. Spike took over Fortress Maximus from Galen. Then we started bringing in the Power Masters and the Pretenders. In the cartoons, the Decepticons was led by Megatron, who was badly hurt and rebuilt into by Unicron into Galvatron, and then Galvatron literally was the rest of the show. Until we got to the, I guess I would say, the continuations of the animes of Headmasters, Masterforce, and Victory, where they brought in different leaders of both the Autobots and the Decepticons, except for Masterforce, which was Optimus Prime, when they rebuilt him into a Power Master. I don't remember. I think Galvatron was the leader of the headmasters in the Headmasters Japanese series, but they relied more on Scorponok and Zarak, or all the aliens got different names in the Headmaster saga. So the Target Masters were all named the same, just the Headmasters' heads were all different from what was known in the comic and the cartoon. The comic did actually name every single one of them. It's a weird concept. Once, I guess the Japanese Takara didn't own the license for certain names, so they had to change it. Of course, Slag, they had to change because of the UK. Slag is a I wouldn't say a bad word, but it is a slang of a not well taken word. It's not something you want to call your friends. So they changed his name to Slug. Like I said, it's the English, Japanese, and UK have very different names for some of their characters. So you have that concept. The American books and the UK books sold separately. Two book compendiums. There is also what I ordered, which is basically something like the G.I. Joe compendiums. Comes in a box. It is all 4 compendiums put together. So they basically rewrote some of the UK comics so that it lines up with the American comics, so everything kind of flows together, which now is one huge comic book. I think a little over, probably about 150, 160 comics altogether. Maybe a little bit more. Honestly, that's kind of what I wanted. I definitely wanted the US because that's what I had. But I also wanted the UK because I've never seen those comics. And the idea of being able to read a complete story instead of 2 separate stories is pretty cool. That is $300. Of course, you can pick Autobots or Decepticons for that. All hail Megatron. Other than that, there is a $600, which is the all-in-one compendiums, as well as the 2 separate American and UK compendiums. And I think a $900, which is both the Autobots and Decepticons and the US, and yeah, it's a lot of money. Of course, there are add-ons that you can pick up. If you remember the old G1 toys, on the back of the box there were the bios, the G.I. Joe bios, with each of their tech specs. One of the add-ons, of course, is several Autobot specs. One is several Decepticon specs. We're unlocking awards as we go, which is pretty awesome. So far it looks like it's going to be basically what we got with G.I. Joe, which I'm excited for. That should be at the end of this year. Probably November, December. So this Christmas is going to be insane for me. My Christmas presents to myself: the Thundercats Omnibus, the Transformers Omnibus Compendiums, and the Cobra Classified Rattler. But like I said, the Transformers Compendium is basically, I wouldn't say the last, but almost the last big purchase. I would still want to get the Lego Castle Grayskull. Well, not Lego, but the Lego ripoff. And if they come out with Aurora's castle from Sleeping Beauty for Lego, I'm picking that up. I wanted the Disneyland castle, but it's Sleeping Beauty. And they just kind of released, or they're going to release Beauty and the Beast castle, which looks insane. So hopefully within the next 10 years, they'll do all these different castles. I'd rather have the Aurora, the Sleeping Beauty castle. Honestly, I'd rather have Maleficent's castle over anything else. But as far as princesses go, I'd rather have the original Sleeping Beauty castle over any other castle, including Disneyland. But that's just me. Like I said, I do have quite a few things that came in. No Funkos, thankfully. But I do have to order a Funko, and there's a few other things I have to get for Funkos. Like I said, I can say I'm close to getting all the Funkos I want, but every time something new comes out, there is a huge rumor that's going around with Funko that by the end of this year, they will be making 3 girls from 90210, 3 girls from Melrose Place, and the 3 Charm Girls. Definitely picking up Phoebe, Alyssa Milano from Charm. definitely picking up Shannon Dorothy, Brenda from 90210. Don't know if I want to get Shannon Dorothy for Charmed. We'll see which one looks better. Speaking of Charmed, found out a couple weeks ago they actually made some toys. So I definitely have to look for them. So anyway, like I said, I did get a few things in. Starting with Star Wars The Black Series. Finally got in Savage Oppressor. I don't know, I like this guy way more than I liked Darth Maul. Also got in a Super 7 Ultimate Power Rangers. Finnster. Which is insane. So for Power Rangers, all I need is King Spinks until they come out with more characters. So Savage comes with his lightsaber and his battle axe, I guess. That's it. Which isn't bad. Finnster comes with several different hands, a couple claymations of the little monsters, 3 putties, King Sphinx, and Pudgy Pig, a stethoscope, and a knife to help carve the putties. Little bile. So, honestly, for Power Rangers, I hope they do make a Scorpina. Would love to have her. Would love to have a couple of the other monsters. And the Psycho Rangers. As far as the Power Rangers go, I'm fine just having the bad guys like everything else. They look a whole lot cooler than the good guys. Other than these two, got some Masterverse characters. Got Cyclone. That's not Cyclone. That's Cyclone. He looks pretty insane. Definitely better than the original figure. So he comes with 2 extra hands, his face mask, as well as the shield, and 2, I guess, things you can add on the shield that looks like wind. Or you can add it to his fists. I'm definitely using the face mask on this character. Don't think although most of it is in English, I can't read what the rest is. But I don't think this is actually English or the English version, but it's alright. So we have Thunder Punch He-Man, the Emperor Hordak, Leech, and Cyclone. I think this is one of the last heroes I want. The new Evelyn, which looks so much better. The new Eternia version. And we have Panther and these skull characters. Evelyn, Finnster, and Flying Fist He-Man. So she comes with the crystal ball thing. You can attach a bottle to make it longer, to make it into a staff. These new Eternia characters are so much better than the Revelation characters. And of course, Fisto. So this version comes with a different sword than the Revelations version. Comes with a hammer and two heads. The original and the Old Man Fisto. The armor is different, of course. The hammer, each of these can come off and you can replace them. And of course the biggest difference is his entire arm is a robotic arm instead of just the end being the magical bigger fist. Definitely like the look of this. It's more of the old school. Fisto, once you take off switch the heads with a more modern look. Like I said, the hammer stuffs can be taken off and you can add it to his fist to make different weapons. Personally, I think that's pretty cool. Definitely this Fisto over the Revelation one. I'm hoping they make a new Eternia Spike Core. And I kind of want to see how the new Eternia Stinkor would look. So I definitely want the new Eternia Roboto over the Revelation Roboto. Definitely picking up the Beastman, New Eternia Beastman. The next big thing that's coming out for Masterverse is a new Hordak, a new Shira, and the two that I honestly want is the new Eternia Ninjor and the new Eternia Cobra Khan. As I don't know how many of you know, but Ninjor is actually part of the Horde. I'm hoping they come out with a Mantenna. And then the last two Horde members I would love to get is Dragstar and Mosquitor. And hopefully that completes, well, I do. Hopefully that completes my collection, but like I said, I do want to see what they can do with a new Eternia Spikor, a new Eternia Stinkor, and a new Eternia Mossman. There are a few other characters I want, but that is for another video. No, I do not want a Clamp Tramp or Clamp Champ. The idea of him was cool. To me, it was just another Fisto, except it was just a huge claw instead. There is a lot of heroes. I definitely don't want. Lots of villains I kind of don't want. I do want Blade when he comes out. And I do want the Lizard character. Lizard Bounty Hunter from the live action movie. I wouldn't mind seeing if they can do a new Eternia Oracle. What that would come out. Other than that, I would love to see them do an actual Screech and Zor. Don't know where I'd put them, but I kind of want to see. Thankfully, that would mean my Masterverse collection is almost complete. My Power Rangers collection is almost complete. I just need to pick up Mumbo Jumbo. Then Silverhawks is pretty much done. Just waiting on the last characters. So I recently saw a video of the mob, Monstars mob. And we all know, besides Mumbo Jumbo, the only two characters that haven't come out yet is Hardware and Melodia. And of course, Yes Man. But I don't want Yes Man. I'm sure there's somebody that does want him. Especially to complete the collection. But the video went further into all the bad guys that's in the mob that aren't part of the full-time mob. So of course they introduce Yes Man's uncle. Again, don't want him. But they also talked about the kid who could stop and rewind time. Not sure what his name is. And then of course Zero, the time thief. And of course Poker Face. And truthfully, besides the normal mob, I have to wait and see how each character looks. I think Poker Face would be cool to have with the rest of the mob, but I'm not a huge fan. I mean, everybody else, he kind of fit in, though. Like I said, it's hard. Thundercats, missing a few things. Gargoyles, missing 3. Turtles, missing... missing 2 that they've created. Maybe 3. But they haven't created the 2 last ones that I want. So 5. G.I. Joe classifieds, they're still pumping things out. Transformers, missing a whole lot of characters. Soul of Chogogan. However, there are stuff I'm planning to get that's not fully in collections. Like once the new mask toys come out, I definitely want a Switchblade. And there are a lot of older toys I'd love to get. Like I said, I found out they're made Charmed toys, dolls, action figures. So I definitely need to get a Phoebe action figure, doll, more action figure, I guess. There's still old toys I'd love to get, like Overlord from Black Star. At the very least, Scarab from Bionic 6. Big Boss from Cops. Would love to get the new Red Sonja. figure, as well as a figure for Conan the Barbarian. Uh, would love to get something from Thundar the Barbarian, but their figures are pretty up there. Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I would love to get Sawboss. Just small things here and there that I would love to pick up to add to my collection. Captain Planet and the Planeteers. I would love to get Dr. Blight. Honestly, she was my favorite villain of all the villains. Her and Vermin, the rat. Still need the Supergirl from McFarlane. But after I complete my collection, it's all small things. Except for, well, I need Viper from King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Lord Viper. Scarab from Scarab from Bionic 6, but the Scarab from Mummies Alive. And every time I think I have an idea of this is what I want for my collection, I find out new stuff that came out, and I want to try and get something from that. For me, the most impossible thing to get at the moment, and this would be literally the grail for my collection, because of how impossible it is to get any toy from this series. Animax. I talked about the comic book series, the 4 comic books. They actually made a toy. Several toy figures. I think I had one figure. I can't remember. I mean, I remember seeing the toys, and then they just disappeared. So to actually get a complete toy, either the main bad guy or the main hero, would be insane. That would be the grail. Like, literally you can't even find the toys on eBay. And I'm not even saying a complete toy, even pieces of them. You can find the comic books, but not the toys. I would love to get a Lone Ranger figure and a Zorro figure. There's also NECA is coming out with Flash Gordon figures and the Defenders of the Earth figure series. No to the figures, but I would love to get one of the Mings. Like I said, there is always something that is popping up that I remember as a kid. And it's one of those, I kind of want one now. Life is crazy. Anyway, guys, besides all of that, Superman, the final season, the fourth and final season to Superman and Lois, completing my CW DVD collection. The only ones I'm missing, of course, is Black Lightning. I've never been a fan of Black Lightning. When I grew up, it was with Super Friends, and I became a fan of Black Vulcan. So to me, Black Lightning was just Black Vulcan, but redone to a different character. And the other series that only had one season, which was alright, but had no characters I knew of. So it was worse than Black Lightning to me. But this completes the rest of the CW collection. Definitely what I kind of want to also focus on is completing my DVD collection, both anime and regular seasons, series, and movies, to get most of that done. I think the big one I'm waiting for is Grimm. I would love to get back Once Upon a Time, the entire series. Definitely. Yeah, DVDs are a whole nother animal. So much things I would love to collect and have. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully you guys seen something you like. The next mailbox, well, it'll have 3 Masterverse figures and 1 old toy so far. See what happens. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. See you guys soon. Be safe. Aloha.